by you. I'll be your everything, your blue sky. I go to war, fight. Damn right. Even when I've left, I do right.
All right, here we go. Welcome back to the Professional Stepdad Show. I am your host, Franco Zavala. This is episode 131 of the show. Before I go into the Tuesday questions, comments, Facebook, it's going to be the Facebook questions, comments. I wanted to say thank you to each and every one of you who have subscribed, who have shared the show. It's helped us increase not only our viewership on SoundCloud and Spotify, but we have a lot of new subscribers on the YouTube show. So again, I'm so incredibly grateful to each and every one of you. With that being said, today's episode really is going to be I'm going to just talk through some Facebook comments and questions that I saw posted on a few different groups for step parents and stepdads, etc. And I think it's important to always share these comments or share these questions because not everybody is a part of specific groups on Facebook. I think Facebook is really like the place to go to find groups when it comes to step parenting, but not everybody is privy to the information because maybe you don't belong to the page, or maybe you have. Maybe you didn't even know about it. So if you didn't know that you can go on Facebook or Meta, what do you say? Facebook or Meta? I don't know. And you can join groups for step parents and stepdads and stepmom groups where you can ask questions, leave comments, give advice, etc. Now, spoiler or forewarning or asterisk, a lot of these groups are people that just go on there and just fucking complain about their life all day. They complain about their spouse, their kids, the bio dad, the bio mom, the freaking parents. Like there's a lot of complaining. So I ask you to just kind of get through all that because again, it's a public platform, and try to do your very best to try to find information that's going to be valuable to you. So just thought I'd throw that out there. Okay, so first question, and again, it's more of like a question comment, but I thought this was cool. It's from a stepdad. It says, my partner has a 9-year-old daughter who is lovely, amazing soul, but there's not the best behavior, and she's disrespectful. They bounce back and forth between being kind and ripping my heart out. The biological father is rarely involved. Maybe one overnight stay every 3 or 4 months, but not much. Every trip away feels like I lose a month of momentum. This is the important part. Every trip away, I feel like I lose a month of momentum. I come from a very regulated, organized, professional life. As the mother, my partner is insanely disorganized, and the kid just kind of follows suit. How do I approach this with my child, and in turn, the mother? I get tons of blowback from asking simple things of the child, as it seems like I'm running into a brick wall each time. Cool. So that is a great statement, right? So it's a really big step for him because he's a really organized individual, and mom is not. He feels like he's gaining momentum, and he's like really doing everything that is needed to build that connection with his stepdaughter. And then she goes away every 3 months, and when she comes back, he feels like he's starting from scratch. So there's a couple of ways to look at this. And the most important thing here is that he's asking for help. He's asking for guidance. And that, I don't know if you know this, step parents, but it's a really big step to ask for help. It really is, because there are a lot of proud individuals who step into blended families believing that they're the savior, and then they run into brick walls and obstacles and bad days, and they're not prepared and ready for it. But the part that sucks worse is that they won't ask for help. They won't ask for feedback. They won't ask for guidance. Maybe not necessarily from their partner, but from friends and family and platforms like this. So stepdad, thank you very much for asking that question. Now, with that being said, if you feel like you're losing momentum with your stepdaughter when she goes away with dad and she comes back and you kind of feel like you're losing track, I want you to kind of look at it from this point of view. I'm always talking about like working on yourself. And I'm always talking about like kind of dealing with your inner demons and facing them and fixing the problems of you before you can move forward with your blended family. I've said this a couple times. You don't want to bring your new self into your blended family, or your old self into your blended family. You're trying to work on your new self. So mom is unorganized. You're organized. You can look at that from a point of view that you are, which is she's so disorganized, and her daughter is just like her, and just I come from a very organized and strict and what did you say? What's the word you used? Regimented background. But when you look at it from that point of view, you're kind of just only focusing on what you can't control in the negative, especially the negative about your partner. You have to look at it more like a balance. Like, you're organized, she's not. Find the balance. Have you and your partner talked about this specific balance? Now, you say I get tons of blowback for asking simple things of the child, meaning like you're asking mom, are you asking mom for the child to be a certain way? And because the mom doesn't resonate with that, you get blowback, right? And the reason you get blowback is because mom doesn't hear you asking asking for the kid. Mom hears you saying that about herself. Because remember, mom's going to really see herself in her child, right? So it really is going to benefit you, stepdad, to take a step back. First, look at this for what it is. It's a complete balance. You're organized, she's not. Daughter, she's just going to kind of follow suit. She's going to follow suit with how everything kind of unfolds within your blended family. So until you and mom can get on the same page about what you're looking for, what are your expectations from each other and from your stepdaughter? What are your expectations? Are you wanting her to be like you? Or are you wanting her to be more like mom? Are you wanting her to be kind of like fall in the middle? I mean, have you and mom even sat down and talked about it? Because if you haven't, then it's going to bring me back to what I always talk about, which is you guys have to sit down and learn to communicate with one another better. Because right now, I think there are a lot of step parents that mistake conversations for communication. It's not what that means. Communication is all centered and focused on the way you're communicating. Are they listening? Are they learning? Or are they blocking you out? And if you're not speaking their love language, and I've spoke about this hundreds of times, it's going to be really hard for you to really influence anyone within your blended family. And when I say influence, I mean, like, okay, I get it. You're wanting some of your good behaviors for organization to rub off on your stepdaughter, and you want mom to follow suit, but that's not how it works. That's not how it's going to work. First, you got to lead by example. And when you lead by example, start small. Start with something real simple. And then when stepdaughter executes or does something kind of that falls within the parameters of what you're looking for when it comes to organization, praise her for it. Let her think that she has done something great. Meaning, like, don't throw a party. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, like, for instance, with my son has a problem with organization as well. I mean, he's real focused on basketball, but he can't keep his room clean and make his bed. So when he does do it, when he wakes up in the morning, that bed's made, and I walk by, I just look at him and I say, hey man, thank you so much for just making your bed today and keeping your room organized. It helps me build trust in you that I can count on you. I want him to feel like what he's doing has merit within, not that he's building something for himself within his life. Now, when stepdaughter goes away, for the biological father is rarely involved, maybe one overnight stay every 3 months or so, but they're so similar. Meaning, are you saying that she's getting a lot of that disorganization from dad as well, from bio dad? Because here's what you have to remember. No matter how hard you try, you push, you scream, you yell, you complain, stepdad, nothing you say will land when it comes to how bio dad takes care of his daughter. It's none of your fucking business, dude. It's his home, it's his house, it's his environment, it's how he does things. And the fact that you're trying to control it, or the fact that you feel like you're losing momentum because she goes that way, and then she comes back and you're like, shit, I lost 3 months. That's what it feels like. I'm losing momentum with her. It's not because you're losing momentum. It's because you haven't done enough within your home. When she's there to see you, you haven't done enough to influence her to where when she does come back, yeah, maybe it's like a bad habit here and there, But for the most part, you've developed these good habits and these good routines within your home, within your four walls, not worrying about the outside. Because remember, let's call a spade, stepdad. She spends more time with you than she does with him. You just said it. She barely sees dad. So if you feel like you're losing momentum, it means you're not doing enough to communicate. You're not doing enough to set the standard. You are not doing enough to really get to a point where she feels like, okay, this is the way it should be. So there's a lot of disorganization. For the most part, when people are disorganized, when their rooms are a mess, when their car's a mess, if you really want to know how somebody's thinking, look how their car is, look how their room is, look how they handle their life. And ask yourself, am I doing enough? Have I communicated with my partner? Am I doing enough on my end to where I'm setting the standard and I'm not pushing being organized? I'm not pushing being regimented. What I'm pushing is developing a young adult so she can see that having this organization and then being proud of that organization will then translate so she can go spend 2 weeks with dad and it wouldn't matter because this is who she is now. So I highly recommend you just take a step back, communicate with mom, communicate in the way that you need to communicate so you guys can get on the same page when it comes to how you feel things should be. Come up with a game plan, make a game out of it. It's fun. Okay, but yeah, anyway, stepdad, great question. Okay, so this is going to sound weird. This is the next statement. This is going to sound weird. My stepson wants me to call him his son. I know this shouldn't be one of those things that I overthink, but they are. Do you guys call your stepkids son and daughter? I mean, I love him to death. I know he looks at me as a father figure, and that's why I should be honored, and I am. I am new to this with a daughter on the way. So I guess my question is it normal to call your stepkids son and daughter? I'm going to be real quick with this one. Yes, it's normal. None of my kids are my bio kids. I've got 5. And my 2 oldest kids call me Franco. My 3 youngest kids call me dad. I was thinking about this last night. I was cooking with my son and I asked him to set a timer to let me know when the pizza was going to be done. Now, I could have said it myself, but I wanted to give him a little bit of responsibility because he really takes pride in like letting me know, hey, dad, timer went off. You got to check the pizza. It's kind of like he doesn't feel in control, but he feels like he's contributing to dinner. And I'm in the kitchen and I hear, Dad, timer went off. And I know sometimes I know that I take advantage of the dad part of it, but it still gets my heart, man. It still gets me. Every time I hear dad, hey, dad, hey, dad, hey, dad, I love it. I mean, it is like it just fills my heart each and every time. And it's not because I need the recognition of dad. That's not what it means. It just means that they're comfortable enough to call me that, which makes me comfortable enough to call them my son and daughter. When I refer to my 5 kids, they're my son and my daughter. As a matter of fact, if I didn't have this show, if it wasn't called The Professional Stepdad, if I didn't put information out there about my stepkids, other than the skin tone, you guys would not know they're my stepkids because I look, feel, act, and I treat them like they're mine. And I do that because I believe that they have earned that right for me to look at them that way because of how long I've been here, all the trials and tribulations that we've gone through. And I really I feel like son, daughter, father, mother, however that plays out for you. I feel like it's just a feeling, right? Because, I know that you ever have a coach or a mentor as growing up, or maybe somebody now that you're like, man, that person's like my second dad. You wouldn't refer to them as your dad, but it's a feeling that you get, right? And I believe that when you come into a blended family and you've built those relationships, you establish the values and the habits and the routines, and you put in the work and you go through the heartache and you come out on top. I believe that the feeling that you have of you're my son, you're my daughter, that's how I feel about them. And that's how your son feels about you, stepdad. And you should not feel weird calling him son or daughter, because when you feel weird about it, then you're drawing a line in the sand saying, okay, yeah, I feel like you're my son, but remember, I'm not your blood. You can't look at it like that. It has to, you're my son, and then execute and move forward accordingly. Great question. All right, here we go. Next one. There's only two more. Okay, fellas, I have an issue and need some advice on. So my girlfriend tends to not keep me in the loop when it comes to the kids and does not communicate parenting stuff with me. I know I'm not the kid's bio dad, but I feel like I should be kept in the loop. And I feel like she'd rather do it on alone. Any advice? By the way, the father's a deadbeat and sees the kids less than 24 hours a week. 24 hours a week, if not less. Okay. So my girlfriend tends to keep me in the, okay, she doesn't keep me in the loop with the parenting stuff. All right. So Cody, question I have for you, buddy. Yeah, have you earned the right to be kept in the loop? Meaning, have you communicated that with your partner? Hey, I'd like to be kept in the loop. I'd like to know what's going on, especially if you're helping, right? If you're driving and you're picking up and you're dropping off and you're taking places and you're spending your money and she's spending her money and you guys are kind of doing things together, like your teamwork, your partnership, is it sound enough? Have you developed it enough to where she not only feels that she wants to keep you in the loop, but she needs to because she needs your guidance and advice and vice versa? Because if you haven't gotten to that point yet, don't take this personal, stepdad, but you haven't done the necessary work in order to gain her trust, in order to keep you in the loop because she feels like she can do it on her own or that she needs to do it on her own. Have you built up enough confidence within the home where you can be, you could be looked at by her with trust, saying, okay, he can handle this, he can take care of it. I know I dealt with it a long time. Every time my wife would go out of town, I always felt like she needed to have grandma or great grandma or somebody from some of the family stop over to kind of check in on me. Like I couldn't handle it myself. And it wasn't until I sat down with her and I said, look, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I love you. I love the kids. I want to be a part of this family, but you have to release some of the burden of responsibility on me. And we have to attack this life as in a blended family together, because if we do it divided, we will be divided. You have to get on the same page. Teamwork is absolutely necessary. So take a step back, stepdad, and understand that if she hasn't included you, it's because you haven't done the work yet, or maybe you've done the work, but you haven't communicated that you want to have that responsibility and ease some of the burden of life onto you so that you guys can have a great balance. It's important. So take a step back and just go talk to her about it. And it's not going to be a defensive conversation. It's literally just, hey, I would love to take some of the burden off you. You can trust me. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. So, yeah. All right. Last statement and or question. Okay, here we go. I proposed to my girlfriend, so I'll be a stepdad in the foreseeable future. The father of the kids sometimes is very immature. Any advice on handling him? Me and my partner are 25 and 31. Any advice on handling him? How? Well, because he's immature? How would you how do you handle an immaturity? You tend not to give it any energy. Immaturity is consistent and continues because energy is fed into it. If an immature individual, let's look at it from this point of view, a heckler in the crowd. Let's say you're a stand-up comedian and there's a heckler and they're just, you're trying to do your show and they're just fucking constantly saying this, that, and the other to you. And if you give it no attention, if you don't address it, if you don't approach it, chances are eventually everybody else will tell them to shut the fuck up or they'll just shut the fuck up. That's how immaturity works. Immaturity can only grow when fed. So if dad is immature, let him be immature. It's not up to you. Are you immature? Or is your partner immature? You stated your age here, 25 and 31. Are you stating your age because you're immature? Are you stating your age because you don't feel qualified enough to say dad's immature? Because that's not correct either. Immaturity means nothing to you. If whatever dad does in his home is what dad does. If he wants to be immature, let him be immature. If he wants to do immature shit, you can't stop it. So why feed into it? Worry about you. Don't worry about them. Worry about you and your partner. That's your job. Your job is to worry about building that team. Your job is to worry about growing together without being influenced by outside individuals, meaning bio parent. grandparents, neighbors, friends, family, fucking you name it. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is how you and your partner handle it. If bio dad is immature, but you and mom have talked about it and said, look, hey, we can't, Frank's over here, we can't do anything about Frank. Frank's immature. It's right, you can't do anything about it. So why give it fucking energy? Just don't allow it in your home. Real simple. And if it does come into your home, do everything in your power to get it out of your home. Not in an aggressive way, meaning you don't allow it to affect your daily life as a stepdad, as a step-parent, as a husband, as a wife, as a leader, mentor, father, mother. You don't allow it to affect you. The moment that you let immaturity affect you, you in return are acting immature. So, but either way, again, great question, because you want the best for you and your blended family. And that's a great question. And the answer is real simple. Don't feed into it. It'll help you out. All right, guys, that's it. Facebook questions and or comments. Episode 131. Once again, everybody, I am so blessed, valued, and grateful for each and every one of you for subscribing to the show and for listening to the show and for sharing the show and for delivering so many amazing positive messages. And FYI, all the negative messages that get to me, don't make no mistake about it, I read those too. Because if I'm not pulling from both ends, then I'm not listening correctly. I need to be hearing the feedback when it comes to what you don't like about what I'm saying. Because I never claimed to be to know all the answers. I never claimed to be able to solve every problem. All I'm doing is delivering information to step parents on a blended family journey, the information and advice that I went through over the past 13, 14 years of just being in my family and doing the things that I've had to do. So yeah, talk to you soon, everyone. Be well. Hey, thanks for listening to the show. Listen, if you know a stepdad who is in need of any of this information, do me a favor right now. Hit that subscribe button and share this episode with them as fast as possible. Did you do it? Okay, you did it.
Quiet on the set, please. Thank you, everybody.